Joe recording.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, that's life. Such is life.
Yeah, I guess so.
Only God can judge me.
Okay.
Can he, though? Or she? It's probably a woman.
Or they. Welcome to Butcher Block Horror Podcast, where we exhume horror movies from the past and sink our teeth into what makes them so delectable. I'm Count Canula.
I am JD. The D stands for Dracula.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
That is because I have drained you of your blood.
Who the fuck are you?
The walrus.
Say your name, say your name.
I am the walrus.
Tonight, we are filing past the tomb of Dracula.
Dracula.
The film Bela Lugosi gained international fame from and would be typecast because of his entire career.
Which he was horrified of. That was like his worst nightmare when he read the script.
And it happened. It came true.
Sure did.
If you enjoy the taste of these feasts of fright, then make sure you follow and review us on whatever podcast service you're listening to. If you do the YouTube, you gotta like, subscribe, and click the bell.
Click it.
Please enter our website and leave some of the happiness you bring with you in the form of supporting our show via our Patreon. Huh? Did you like how I did that?
Kane, you know what takes away the pain of being typecasted as Dracula for the rest of one's career?
Having a 1979 goth song written about you.
That helps.
Or a crippling opiate addiction.
Laudanum. Yeah, I was just about to say.
Right? Well, it's like morphine and then methadone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can also join our Funky Fresh Discord server there. JD, take us away to 1931.
You know I will.
Take it to the limit one more time.
Joe?
Hit him with the pain stick.
Nope. Right now I'm concentrating all of my mental energy into
herpes,
giving you hurricane force diarrhea.
You don't have The Shining, Kane.
We don't have time for that.
Hurricane force diarrhea.
No.
Just shit myself inside out.
Take it back, Kane. Take it back.
The Hulk ripping out of the back of my pants.
Yeah.
Only it's your entire GI tract.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That's a little worse than me telling you to step on a D4 that you dropped, Joe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nerds. Dracula was released February 12th in New York, and then February 14th of 1931 everywhere else.
Oh, Valentine's Day. That's cute.
Yeah, very sweet, very sweet.
It is a love story.
Will you be my Valentine, JD?
Oh, you know I will.
Awesome.
Yeah. Dracula had a runtime of 75 minutes.
They could have cut that.
They could have cut it down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they
I
could.
don't know. I thought this movie was pretty tight.
Yeah. I enjoy me some Dracula, so. Yeah. It had a budget of $341,191.
And what was the box office return?
So that was a little unclear, but I did read that the profit margin was about $700,000. So I'm assuming that means it grossed a little over $1 million.
Mm.
Yeah.
As far as like a lot of people were concerned at the time, making this film was a bit of a gamble.
And a nightmare.
Yeah. So it's like, the film, it had all the credentials through the power of the storyline, but Universal was uncertain if the public was ready for it. So
I still think it's fantastic that when they were making the film, they were closely watching Murnau's Nosferatu and taking points from that movie.
Yeah, so, there were other horror films to come before it, but this one was one of the first, at least in terms of talking pictures. The first one with a type of seriousness to it, that there was no comic relief. There was nothing to downplay the supernatural overtones. It was just some raw, like, hey, this is a supernatural vampire horror story.
This mofo's going to drink you dry.
That's right. He's going to drain you, and you're going to be dead. But, yeah, Dracula has proved to be a true box office success, despite the skepticism. Dracula was directed by the legendary Todd Browning. He's definitely one of my favorite directors in terms of pioneering in horror and adjacent subjects of that era, anyway, to be clear. He was born Charles Albert Browning July 12th of 1880 and checked out of existence October 6th of 1962. He was an American director, actor, and screenwriter, also a vaudeville performer, and most importantly, and this comes into play with some of his later filmmaking, he was actually a carnival sideshow, like a circus entertainer. And some of that knowledge from that experience could be seen in the film Freaks, which is a very interesting film. But he worked in film between 1915 and 1939, roughly. Just a few examples of some of the horror films he was involved in would be The Devil Doll, Dracula, London After Midnight, The Unknown, Blackbird, The Mystic, and Freaks. And Freaks is, more of a horror adjacent type of story. There isn't anything supernatural happening in there. It's just the life of some sideshow performers of that era. Dracula was produced by Todd Browning, but also Carl Laemmle Jr. So yeah, for the moment you've all been waiting for, on to the plot of Dracula. So we're somewhere in the mountains, bouncing around in a carriage coach type of thing, and we meet a little group of people along with one of our main characters in the moment, Renfield, who's traveling to Dracula's castle in Transylvania to do some business.
And if you've been following along this season, you'll recognize Dwight Fry.
I haven't been paying attention to anything we've watched or talked about
Well, wake up.
this whole season.
Wake up before the vampires get your neck. Everybody's still protecting their neck, right?
No, I actually stopped protecting my neck like 2 days ago.
But you're wearing garlic down the front of your pants, right?
No.
Honestly, I kind of want the vampire to get me. It sounds like a cool way to die.
But then you also awaken to eternal life.
Right.
Things change, but it's got to be better than what we know now.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you could just walk out into the direct sunlight.
Yeah.
And be a daywalker. Wouldn't
No.
you
No.
shed some skin if that happened?
No. No, the whole point of walking into the sun is to be burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
Just ashes and a couple of vampire teeth.
Just like vampire around for a couple weeks until I get bored and then, just fuck it.
Yeah, suicide is painless.
Exactly.
So yeah, the village people warn Renfield not to stay at the YMCA. No,
Like the construction. Oh, yeah, I was going to do the same joke.
sorry.
You know, what's funny is that as soon as he said village people, I was like, oh my God, one of them.
You knew I was going there again.
Yeah.
One of them is going to try to turn this into a joke.
Hilariously, we both tried to make that joke. JD just got to it quicker.
Anyone that's subjected to this is going to know it's not funny. So
It might have been funny if you hadn't made a whole big, let's have a 2-minute conversation about it.
Yeah, big to-do about it all.
The joke might have landed.
it's been like 39 seconds, all right? Not 2 minutes.
It feels like forever.
Let my dad jokes land wherever they land, okay? Just, I'm not a dad, so whatever.
Yeah, JD has the same approach to humor as just flinging handfuls of pudding and just hoping that
It lands in someone's mouth.
Yeah.
And that they enjoy it.
As long as it's tasty pudding, I throw rice pudding because that's my favorite.
rice pudding's awesome.
A little bit of cinnamon.
Oh, sure.
No, it's definitely blood pudding. If we're talking about Dracula, you don't get to fling rice pudding at people, all right? You're flinging blood pudding.
Blood pudding. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
makes sense.
all right. So anyway, yeah, the villagers, they warn him against visiting the castle. They're all spooked the fuck out by lore about vampires who live in the castle and they turn into bats and wolves and all sorts of stuff. So
I was looking at some stuff, and it was the reason that all the villagers had Hungarian accents
yes.
is because when Stoker wrote the book, Hungary had owned that part of Transylvania. Like it was part of the Kingdom of Hungary or whatever the hell.
Yeah. The political landscape of Eastern Europe is a lot of things have happened over there for over the
Right.
centuries.
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
Sure.
Definitely.
It was equally likely to be just like the movie was made by people that didn't know or care about any culture outside of America.
Honestly, I'm just impressed because if you look at The Wolfman, that takes place in England and everybody talks like an American. And then if you look at Frankenstein, that takes place in Germany and everybody talks like they're from America.
Sure.
But not Dracula.
The Mummy takes place in Egypt and everybody talks like they're from America.
Which is funny because it was supposed to be an English expedition.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, even the people who are meant to be Egyptian just kind of talk like American actors.
Yep. Yeah.
Hollywood has a long reach. What can they say,
Well, then Hollywood just doesn't care about representing other
Anyone
cultures
else.
accurately.
Right.
Yeah.
True. So yeah, Renfield he's sketched out, but he's not really showing it. He's about to get in the carriage and, fuck around and find out.
There's a lot of fucking around and finding out in this movie.
There is. So he doesn't love the idea of staying at the village inn. He requests his carriage driver to give his goofy ass a lift to the Borgo Pass, where Renfield will then be driven to the castle by Dracula himself. He's kind of like incognito.
Yeah, he's pretending to be a driver. He's got like the sides of his face covered, and he's wearing a hat, and he doesn't speak.
Yeah, but he does have a quite a piercing stare.
Which was actually used, that piercing stare was created by Carl Frun. He would shine pin lights at Bela Lugosi, like 2 pencil spotlights at Bela Lugosi's eyes. That's how he would get that effect.
So, in the film, we receive our first real spooky what the fuck moment when Renfield pops his coconut out the window at an attempt to ask the driver to slow down. It was kind of a sketchy path through the mountains, rather narrow, and I can only imagine his heart was beating. Only he doesn't see a driver. He sees a fucking bat luring the horses forward. And I speculate, as I do naturally, that he shits his pants at this moment.
You like thinking about people shitting their pants, JD.
You do. It's kind of a fascination for you.
Yeah, it really seems like a thing that you're just very enthusiastic about. Auto defecation.
Well, like when someone gets scared, I assume that they just shit their pants.
I can send you some links to some videos if you want to just like really delve into that subject.
I thought you were going to send me something else, but that's fine.
No.
A pair of pants that have been
just a pair of my
furiously shat in?
Yeah.
Well, since, Kane cursed you at the... that little backdoor explosion.
Oh, sure. Backdoor Explosion, also a very good band name.
That's what we do. We're the band name generator.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, once inside the castle, Renfield is met by a charming, eccentric count.
Bela Lugosi's dead.
Yes.
Undead.
And unbeknownst to Renfield, he's an actual fucking vampire. Holy shit, right? So the couple, they begin to discuss business, You don't see any servants. I assume he drank all their blood.
I mean, how do you keep servants when you're an immortal vampire?
Giving them good benefits and paying them well.
Yeah.
Did it look like Dracula had lots and lots and lots and lots of money?
No.
I mean, he lived in a giant castle and...
A dilapidated and falling apart castle.
With hella spiders.
Right. But just in a more general sense, I feel like that is how you would keep a good servant staff if you were an immortal vampire, is just treating them well.
I think that the immortal vampire is supposed to be the bad guy, so I don't think that's how he would treat his servants.
Well,
which makes sense as to why he had to make dinner and...
He had to do it all himself, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's an immortal dick. So the couple discuss business. Dracula he's up to lease out Carfax Abbey over in England. Dracula intends to travel there the very next day. Dracula hypnotizes Renfield and makes him his bitch. Dracula commands him to open a window after a brutal fart. It smells so bad.
Wait, what?
That Renfield
what
faints.
The fuck are you talking about?
I'm just having fun with the story, that's all.
It's all about shit and farts with you. Like, Joe thought that you were just going to be talking about dicks and jism today, but apparently you're stuck on this fecal thing.
Well, that's later. I will talk about dicks and jism, but in a bit. Give me some time. All right. Anyway, stop trying to break my brain.
Hey, JD.
Yeah.
You know what a vampire's favorite brand of beer is?
Ooh. Go for it.
Budweiser.
So anyway,
Nope, stop. This is it. We're done.
That's it? That's the end of the day, huh?
No more Butcher Block. This is it. We can't keep doing this to ourselves and others.
So a bat appears at the open window. Renfield faints. We're not sure exactly why.
I think there was something in the wine.
That's probably
sense,
what it was. So Dracula's 3 wives show up and close in on Renfield.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
They had no point of being in the film.
Other than just trying to make Dracula seem like a polygamist.
No, I mean, what else did they do the rest of the movie?
That's a good question.
They were just in the book, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Dracula was always trying to seem like he had some sexual powers or something, so that's probably why they did that at the time.
Sexual healing.
Bela Lugosi could get it, is all I'm saying.
I mean, he did have like 5 wives.
I mean, I'm just speaking from my perspective about sexual powers, and I'm just saying.
Yeah, he could have his way with you.
Yeah.
That's fair. So yeah, then he waves his wives away and he goes in for the kill himself. But maybe not the kill, but more some attempt to enslave Renfield, who is now a raving lunatic. So he's found to be the only living person on the transport ship, the schooner Vesta. And basically the entire ride over to London, Dracula was feasting on the blood of the ship's crew until everyone on board was out of blood. They were dead. Renfield is decided to be mentally unfit and committed to Dr. Seward's sanitarium adjoining the Carfax Abbey. So we now meet Seward and his daughter Mina.
Dr. Seward was played by Herbert Bunston. What a great name.
Herbert Bunston.
Yeah. And Mina Seward was played by Helen Chandler. So in the book, they aren't father and daughter.
No.
While I think the 90s Coppola film made it more sexually tense,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
they definitely were not blood relations.
I mean, just because morals were a little stricter back in...
Yeah, in the 30s.
I feel like, honestly, like for its time, that movie was very horny.
Yeah, I would say so.
I love the night. It's the only time I really feel alive.
Yeah.
Nice. We also meet John Harker.
Who was played by David Manners, which is also a recognized name from this season.
And he was Mina's fiance. And then we also meet a family friend named Lucy Weston.
Who was played by Francis Dade. Why do you think they get, instead of Jonathan, why do you think they called him John?
That's a great question.
I don't know,
Why
maybe-
does anyone do that difference?
Punchier.
Yeah. Anyway, Lucy's undercarriage instantly moistens upon meeting Dracula.
Nice.
Later that night, Drac turns her into a snack. He sneaks into her room and drains her of her blood.
Wait, was that a double entendre?
Maybe.
Is that what that is, Joe? You're the smart one.
It was really kind of a single entendre, really. It only really meant the one thing.
Well, I thought snack also meant like an attractive person.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other thing that JD said. Yeah.
Okay.
She was both. So Lucy ends up kicking the bucket the next day after a series of blood transfusions. Epic fail. She gone.
Hey, JD.
Yeah, babe.
You know what a vampire's least favorite restaurant is?
Uh-oh.
Steakhouse.
Nice.
Wait, hold on a second. Joe,
Oh, God.
while we were watching the movie, I heard you furiously typing. Were you spending the entire time we were watching the movie finding Dracula-based dad jokes?
No, I was getting my notes finished during the movie. These I'm just delving up from my weird childhood.
Oh, good.
Hey, guys, real quick. What's your favorite food?
Tacos.
It varies from moment to moment.
Okay. Well, Renfield's favorite foods are flies and spiders.
Nice.
Yeah. Renfield is being studied by Professor Van Helsing. He talks an awful lot about vampires, and Renfield begs Seward to get him the hell away from this place on account of not wanting to disrupt Mina's dreams. Renfield cries a lot at night, just like me. Renfield is now passed the fuck out, exhausted from all of his madness.
I also get exhausted by my own madness.
Yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah.
I wish that being full of madness would make me more tired.
Yeah. It just makes me tired during the day, kind of like right now. Dracula communicates with him through a medium of a howling wolf.
A wolf that's doing what?
A backdoor man, like
What was it? Hauling.
howling
Oh.
wolf. Sorry you didn't like the way I said it.
I mean, it wasn't that. I didn't know if it was like hauling something. Like there was like a
Oh.
wagon
Like a
behind it.
U-Haul,
Or...
like a
Yeah.
long haul trucker.
Howl. I have to enunciate better.
That'd be a good horror movie, like a werewolf that was a long haul truck driver.
And he would be hired to help people move.
But I mean, a long haul trucker is like transporting goods.
Yeah, like they move groceries and
So anyway, Renfield, he gets woke up by Van Helsing, who shows him some wolfsbane.
Did you guys recognize Van Helsing?
I did not.
Van Helsing was played by Edward Van Sloan, who's been in damn near every movie we've watched this season.
Oh, right on.
Except for Vampire.
The sexual tension between Dracula and Van Helsing was palpable. You could taste it.
Yeah.
How did it taste? Was there like a specific flavor?
It was salty. It was like a savory.
Salty and kind of humid and moist, you know?
Sure.
Salty, humid, and moist. Almost like briny. Is that?
A little briny, yeah.
Okay.
Like ketchup, maybe?
What?
I don't know. I think that adds us a different textured flavor in there. Like ketchup. I was thinking less ketchup, more like boiled peanuts.
All right.
Or brined peanuts.
Okay. I could dig it.
It tasted like the climate of Florida.
It's gross.
Ew, yeah, seriously.
Salty and humid and sweaty and
racist.
Florida is America's
homophobic.
It's America's wang and its armpit. Florida is like the wang that bangs the armpit.
Wango, Z-Tango.
Yeah, so Van Helsing, he's all hung up on this wolfsbane shit, which he claims to be a protective element against vampires, like a vampire repellent.
Did he not read the fucking instructions on the side of the box?
You'd think it would have been garlic.
Yeah, wolfsbane scares off werewolves. That's why it didn't work. That's why when they meet, the sexual tension moment when they meet, and he's like, you have more wolfsbane? And he's like, nah, man, I got this thing, because obviously the wolfsbane ain't scaring you because you ain't a wolf.
Ow!
I did want them to kiss, though.
Yeah, well, why not, you know? Dracula pays Mina a visit on the late night creep. He slides into her bedroom on the low, while licking his chops over the prospect of some sweet hot honey blood.
You're making this real weird, JD.
That's what I'm trying to do. The very next evening, he visits Van Helsing and Harker.
And they share stock trading tips.
And they catch a key detail. Dracula displays zero reflection in a mirror.
And also just about his own choices and what led him to this point in his life.
It's kind of like an intervention.
Yeah.
So anyway, Drac, he's not keen to their discovery, so he blasts the shit out of the mirror, shattering it, and takes off like a fourth grader, like an angry fourth grader. Van Helsing, being the scholarly genius that he is, he put it all together, deducing Dracula to be a vampire. He's cracked the case, he's got the motive and the suspect, and starting to put it all together. Nina leaves her room for a Twinkie.
That didn't happen.
No, I know, but Dracula and her do intersect.
Yeah.
A maid finds Mina all passed out in somewhere.
In a room. It's unclear.
Yeah, just in a room.
Do you think that the reason Dracula chose Mina is that she had riboflavin-flavored, non-carbonated, polyunsaturated blood?
Probably. There wasn't a whole lot of preservatives in the blood back then.
Yeah.
So there's this newspaper report covering a woman in a white dress who lures kiddos away from a local park, and this person is biting the shit out of these kids. Mina identifies this woman as her old pal Lucy, who has risen from the grave and is now a vampire. Yes, a dreaded vampire. Anyway, Harker wants to bring Mina to London for safety reasons.
That seems like an unlikely way to go. If you're trying to keep somebody safe, taking them to London might not be the best course of action.
There's werewolves in London.
Yep.
Right, because it's just in time to get Jack the Ripper on you. All kinds of bad shit. Anyway, he's convinced by Van Helsing to leave her.
Whoa, what was he trying to do?
Trying to take her to London for safety reasons.
Oh, okay.
But he's convinced by Van Helsing to leave her in his care instead.
That's sus.
Yeah, a little sus. And he's trying to get Nurse Briggs to help with Mina as she sleeps.
Nurse Briggs was played by Joan Standing.
Thank you. There is a wreath of wolf's bane placed around her neck.
Yeah.
Ineffectively.
Joe also sleeps with a wreath of wolf's bane around his penis.
That's just because I like to keep myself decorated for the holidays at all times.
That's good stuff, man.
Which holiday specifically do you hang wolfsbane?
What I like to do is have the wreath of wolfsbane around my dingus so that JD will come and, kiss me under the mistletoe.
Nice.
The joke didn't work as well as I thought it was going to. I'm very sorry.
It didn't. Yeah, it wasn't good.
I still appreciated the humor.
I know you did, JD. I know you did.
I was trying to guess and it didn't happen for me.
Yeah.
Now, how about no stop? Why don't we do that?
Fair enough. Renfield escapes from his cell and overhears some men discuss some nonsense about vampires.
Much like this podcast.
Right. Before Renfield gets dragged back to his place in the funny farm, he lets everyone know about Dracula's promise about thousands of rats full of blood and life. Let's go ahead and add that to the list of Renfield's favorite foods.
Yeah.
We now have fly, spiders, and rats. And rat blood. Delicious.
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 So Dracula, he could get a lot from me with a pan of lasagna, though, instead of promising things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say as an employer, Dracula's all right. I've worked for worse in the past.
Sure.
The CPS. Yep. Anyway, so now Dracula, he posts up on Van Helsing and lets him know that Mina is his and warns him to go home, wherever home is for Van Helsing.
That suggests that Dracula was afraid of Van Helsing.
A little bit.
In my opinion.
He was threatened.
The fact that he was like, hey, you need to get your ass back to where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Little intimidation tactic.
Yeah, it was a bluff.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
He's like, listen, Van Van Helsing.
You're my Dracula.
Fuck.
Anyway, Van Helsing vows to destroy Dracula. I almost said vacula, like it was like a
I heard that.
like a vacuum cleaner that sucks.
What about ejacula?
Kind of sounds like vascular a little bit.
Wait, now I thought that I was the one making ejaculant jokes. Now it's you.
No, you were making shit jokes. I'm making ejaculate jokes.
That's fair. So Van Helsing vows to destroy Dracula and excavate Carfax Abbey.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick.
Think anyone's made a porn Dracula movie called Ejacula?
If they haven't, they should. And you're
Fuck.
welcome.
Well,
He busts out his trusty crucifix, that Van Helsing, and he threatens to shove it up Dracula's ass.
not that I can see there's no Count Ejacula porn parody.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to make it.
I'm Van Helsing.
I'll be Lucy.
Yeah, I think you would make a fine Lucy, honestly.
I think so too.
And by the end of the film, you'll be loosey-goosey.
Nice.
A fine wife you will be.
A fine wife you would be.
No, that's Brandy, not Lucy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now Van Helsing, he starts backing Dracula's ass up. He's like, I got the juice, baby.
I mean, he just pulls out a crucifix and Dracula fucks off.
He doesn't like it.
Basically, he's like, Mama didn't raise no fool. Check this thing out.
He does that classic, like, and he hides behind his cloak, and
twirls around.
Bela Lugosi is just going as hard as he can.
He doesn't love it.
And then he leaves.
Yeah.
Fucks right off.
He's got no love for crucifixes. So Harker now visits Mina on a terrace. Make no mistake about it, he's hard and he's DTF. And she's like, ooh, I just love the night, and better yet, a foggy night. You know, she's kind of out of it. But anyway, Harker is almost at the point where he needs to have a seat when a big old bat flies overhead and starts squeaking. And maybe Mina speaks bat or something because the bat convinces her to attempt to whoop Harker's ass.
The more interesting part of that scene is John Harker just flailing at the bat like a nerd.
Yeah.
It's a little silly. Like, I feel like they could have done more with that.
So Mina, she goes at him, and then Seward...
Dude, the world is going to end. I hate to interrupt you while you're in the middle of this, but I just got a random notification.
Oh my God.
Letting me know that monkeypox.
Yeah, that's been going on the last week or two.
Yeah, but now they're finding large cluster cases of them.
Yeah, that's happening. We're all going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we deserve it.
Yeah.
God damn.
So, you know.
All right, well, let's finish this up so that I could go eat more food than I should.
Out of depression. Same here.
Yeah, I might just disassociate for a couple hours.
God.
Just stare blankly at a wall.
Yeah, occasionally I'll pick my phone up and scroll on it for a minute and then just space back out.
Nice.
That's why I enjoy doing this podcast with you guys. It helps me disassociate from the world for about 45 minutes.
And then I bring it rushing back in at you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You're
I
welcome.
get to think about monkeypox now while I talk about Mina. Seward and Van Helsing rescue Harker. Mina makes a few confessions. She tells all about Dracula's dirty deeds.
Done dirt cheap.
Nice.
That's right. Yep. Thank you. Followed by letting Harker know that the thrill is gone.
The thrill is gone.
Babe.
This is a very musical episode.
Yeah, we do it. We got a little groove in our step. Anyway, Dracula hypnotizes Briggs into removing Mina's wolfbane necklace so he can replace it with a pearl one. Haha, just kidding. Settle down, guys. Briggs opens the windows after a second cataclysmic fart.
Another fart joke, I swear.
Yeah, that's what I do. Van Helsing and Harker spy Renfield, headed for Carfax Abbey.
Welcome to the Beavis and Butthead podcast.
You said podcast.
Ugh.
So then they spot Mina and Dracula together inside the Abbey.
Having some tea and crumpets.
Yeah.
Just a spot of tea. When Harker shouts to Mina,
Does he shout to her, you said you was a virgin, but now I got fire spiders nesting in my hangdog?
yeah, that's accurate.
Also, he shouts, and lets it all out.
But Dracula, he ends up believing to have been betrayed by Renfield, and he kills him quick. Dracula is being hunted by Van Helsing and Harker. They know where Dracula sleeps, and his disdain of the rising sun. Van Helsing crafts a wooden stake to drive through the vampire's heart. Harker searches for Mina, while Van Helsing impales Dracula. Karma is a motherfucker.
Off screen.
Yeah.
We don't actually get to see Dracula get staked.
Right, which would be absolutely cool if we did, but we didn't. So, as soon as that happens, Mina returns to, in quotes, normal. Who is ever really that normal? And that was the end of the film, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some interesting tidbits about this film.
Yes.
At the beginning of the film, Carla Lamel Jr.'s daughter,
Okay.
was playing the young girl that was kind of reading Transylvanian history or whatever to everyone in the car, like an obnoxious
right.
kid would,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
talking about dinosaurs and shit, and nobody cared.
Right.
She was actually the last surviving cast member of the film until June 12th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
And she rightfully claimed that she was the first woman in talking pictures to have the first line of dialogue in a horror film.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the score, real quick like, it was all classical music. There was not a contemporary composer listed in the credits.
And it was a series of beautiful sounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Yeah.
Swan Lake, you know, it was a bunch of cool stuff. So we get to skip that and go straight to Joe. Tell
What?
us about the writers.
The writers, what?
Do your job, Joe.
Okay, fine, I'll do it.
Do it.
Thanks.
Yeah, obviously based on a novel written by Irish writer Bram Stoker, one of the founders of the Gothic horror movement. Over the course of his life, he worked in the theater, he traveled the world, visiting many places, but not Eastern Europe, where he set many of his books. He never went there.
Because it was scary.
Yeah, and he was like an aristocrat, so there might have been some kind of like cultural.
That's why it was scary.
Yeah, that tracks. Over the course of his life, he wrote 12 novels, including Snake's Pass and Lair of the White Worm, also Dracula, his most famous one, many of which were very fucking boring.
Yeah. Oh, Lair of the White Worm.
Yeah.
Oof.
But he and other writers of his era, like Le Fanu and all those other guys, really kind of paved the way for our modern understanding of what a vampire is in popular culture. So
I remember listening to the Brainworms podcast over the episode of Lair of the White Worm and feeling hurt by how slow and boring it was.
Yeah.
Not because of you guys, but because of Bram Stoker.
yeah, that book is so tedious.
It was terrible.
It was a bad time.
Did you say a bat time?
I didn't, but sure. That novel inspired Dracula the Vampire play, written by Hamilton Dean, also Irish, who was a playwright and actor who, much like Bram Stoker, entered the theater at a young age. He was fascinated by the novel, and he wanted to, he got involved with a theater company, and he wanted a play of it to be made. But he couldn't find a writer, so he's like, fuck it, fine, I'll do it myself. And he wrote it. And he toured with it in Europe, and it was very successful. He expected it to be unpopular. He thought that it would shock and horrify people. He actually arranged to have nurses with like smelling salts on standby in case people passed out from
sheer terror.
Just adding the theater.
But it did very well. He brought it over to the United States, where the role of Dracula was given to then unknown Hungarian actor Bela Lugosi, and the script was updated a bit by John Balderston, and that version would quite literally become this film. And I've talked about John Balderston, who there's a typo in my notes I referred to as John Balderstong, and
that's where you want to keep it, right?
Yeah, Balderstong.
We're all children here.
But yeah, I've talked about him a couple times this season. I'm not going to get back into it. See The Mummy and I believe Frankenstein for a more detailed summary of the life of John Balderstong.
Balderstong.
And yeah, so I'll talk about the cinematographer if you want.
The cinematographer?
Cinematographer.
It's simple, Joe. We've been calling it the cinematographer for so long that I expect you to be able to say it without stumbling all over your fucking mouth.
I like to just take a bit and push it as far out to sea as it can go.
Right.
Until it loses all meaning.
Like life.
Until you can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Until we're all infected with monkeypox.
It's on its way.
Mm-hmm. The monkeypox and the coronavirus are going to hybridize. And
Oh, God.
Captain Trips from The Stand.
Fine. Did you know that Lon Chaney was originally going to be cast as Dracula, and he passed away before he could?
Oh, that sucks. He would have been a good Dracula.
They went through, not Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah, Lon Chaney Sr.,
yeah,
for sure.
But they went through like 5 or 6 other people before they finally settled on Bela Lugosi. And he so desperately wanted to play the part that he agreed to like a huge pay cut that amounted to like $500 per week or whatever. And he ended up making like $3,500 for playing one of the most iconic vampire roles ever committed to film.
Right. It literally defined our understanding of vampires.
Right, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about the cinematographer, and then we trailed off.
Yeah, we did.
I blame myself.
I blame you too. Not you, the band.
But yeah, the cinematography was done by Karl Freund, who was also kind of an uncredited director. Apparently, the actual director was kind of hands-off with the whole process. And apparently it was a very disorganized set. And Karl Freund just kind of wound up taking over.
Well, I mean, Todd Browning was close friends with Lon Chaney, and he was morose about the fact that Lon Chaney had died.
Oh, sure.
And Todd Browning was a severe alcoholic.
That'll do it, yeah.
So he was listed as being very sullen and unprofessional during the shoot.
Sure.
Like he would just leave the set in the middle of scenes. And so Carl would have to direct the scenes. He would also like freak out and just rip pages out of the script.
Yeah.
If he felt that they were redundant and just throw them away.
Huh. But yeah, the kind of after effect of that was Karl Freund just kind of taking over the movie and, unofficially. It's unfortunate that he was uncredited given that he kind of had to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, he should have been credited.
Yeah. But yeah, Austrian cinematographer, film director, very well known as an innovator in the field. He invented a bunch of shit. He came up with the idea of taking a camera off of a tripod and just hand holding it.
Like a beast, because those cameras were not small.
Yeah, they were probably very heavy, which obviously it changed the way that you could angle and get shots. He also came up with putting a camera on a cart on a track, which would become the Steadicam. And and he was an innovator. He worked on a lot of things. He worked on Metropolis. His style was very much that of German, impressionist filmmaking, like lighting people's faces so that they pop in a very specific way. He invented a new kind of film stock specifically for shooting in low light. He was a big deal, which I like talking about these, and I'm really enjoying this season for this reason. These very early in the history of movies, because dudes were just inventing shit as they went along.
Yeah.
Like I need to get a very specific shot. We don't have the technology for me to get that shot. I'm just going to come up with something on the fly and kind of change the game of filmmaking.
Oh, yeah. Quite a debt is owed.
And I think that's really cool.
Well, I mean, that's the stuff you do. Like, look at Sam Raimi.
Oh, for sure,
Sure.
He
created several ways of filming people.
Yeah. Pioneers, baby.
But yeah, he worked on a bunch of stuff, much of it horror, including The Mummy, The Golem, Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Head of Janus, Der Hund von Baskerville, and Satanus. He also worked on I Love Lucy.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all I care to say about that.
Excellent. JD, why don't you tell us about the special effects?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Let's see if you could do it without talking about farts or poop.
Yeah, or dicks.
Well, I don't mind that as much.
That's fine. Jack P. Pierce, yet again. The legendary Jack Pierce.
Pierce.
Yeah, he was pushing P. I had to sneak that in there. Anyway, I'm not going to say a whole lot because every single episode thus far has been, like a Jack Pierce showcase. Right. So we know him. We love him. He's a legend, a master of special effects makeup. Leave it at that. We have some uncredited artists that I could just mention very briefly. There's William Davidson. He was uncredited for creating some of the miniatures, which I assume means some of the small props like the spiders, the bats, different things like that, and the suspension devices from which they where locomotion, their movements occurred. The bat had little flapping wings while being dangled, and the spider sort of had a upward projection in the web. Very basic stuff, but I'm sure they had some figuring out to do even back then. Set designers also feel very significant in this film. We have John Hoffman, Charles A. Logue. Logue was more into the scenic shots, some of the mountains, and those were just still frames, like almost like paintings or whatever, but very much like theater type of backgrounds. And then we had, well, like I said, John Hoffman and Herman Rossi, and they designed more of the interior of the castle set and things of that nature. So yeah, that's pretty much the special effects. A lot of these black and white films, we don't have some of the prosthetic gore that we enjoyed in previous seasons, but...
Yeah, we're not going to see any of that, really.
Not really, but we do have some incredibly strong makeup effects, and that is a treasure in and of itself.
Yep. And again, so much of this movie was lighting and camera work.
And also...
Yeah, I mean, the piercing eyes of Bela Lugosi as Dracula, I mean, a lot of that is I mean, some of it is just Bela Lugosi, but honestly, a lot of it is Carl Freund, and how he was aiming that camera.
Yep, just the cinematography and the overall direction, the art direction, all of that seems to be like the most captivating element of the visuals we're taking down. So, yeah, as far as that goes, that's about all I have to say.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll go ahead and talk about our personal experience with the film. Joe, start us off per usual.
Yeah, I saw this movie back in the 90s when you would see a lot of the Universal monster movies on TV around Halloween time. And I like it. I like the Hammer horror, like Peter Cushing era stuff a little better.
Right.
But I do have a fondness for this movie. I think it's really cool. Mostly for the aesthetics. I think it's a very pretty movie.
It is a pretty movie.
It is gorgeous. Gorgeous movie.
I do wish that Dracula and Van Helsing had kissed more. But other than that, I really like this movie.
All right. Well, then, JD, personal experience with the film?
Yeah, I'm trying to rewind the tapes. My first viewing of Dracula, I'm assuming it was on Svengoolie's show yet again. That's where I tended to see a lot of the Universal horror films. They were big on that show. I always loved the aesthetics of all of these horror films, but specifically with Dracula, I felt like just the placement of the lighting, and I mean, really Frankenstein's lighting was pretty awesome too, but this one in particular, those scenes where you see the little strip of light across Bela Lugosi's eyes, it was absolutely just
mesmerizing
and added a creepiness to it that only Bela Lugosi and his very distinct brow, could achieve. He had just an interesting face. I think that's what makes him and like Boris Karloff and, people like that involved in film so special because their faces are so expressive. Bela Lugosi just so unique. And very easily typecasted as Dracula for the rest of his career. So,
which is funny because he
definitely-
only ever played Dracula twice.
right.
He played him in Dracula, and then he played him in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, it is weird that he became like the iconic Dracula.
But he did it so well.
Yeah, it's just a testament to how well he fit that role.
Oh, sure.
Now, I would say that he was playing in the stage production,
Yeah.
so his image of being Dracula was just kind of always there.
Yeah. I mean, it's something very unique to his appearance, and I think that made him exceptional. That's about the extent of my impression of the film. I mean, the character of Dracula has always been one of my favorites. I'm more of a Nosferatu kind of guy, but I definitely appreciate the folklore of the vampire in general. And being that this was Bela Lugosi's thing just made me love it all the more. In my workstation, I tend to have a pictured frame of Bela Lugosi with there's that classic shot of him with his hands kind of up just under his chin, and the lighting is just sort of sweeps across his face in a very specific way that dramatizes all of his little wrinkles and just his gaunt appearance. And I just love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they kind of redid that style of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime they focus the camera on Angelica Houston in The Addams Family.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I just love high contrast images like that. It's so good. So yeah, Kane, how about you? What's your impression of the film?
So I saw the movie in probably the late 80s. My dad was watching horror movies with me and my brother. And originally he wasn't going to have us watch Dracula. And the reason was that based off of the other movies he had shown us and the movies that we were watching together, he thought me and my brother would find it boring. Little did he know, he was completely and totally correct. My brother and I watched Dracula and really just couldn't appreciate it for the film that it was. We were too young. We were expecting, a lot of action and a lot of scares, like we had seen in Wolfman and Frankenstein, and none of that was really there. It was very much so a drama with supernatural elements attached to it. As I got older, I was obviously able to appreciate the film a lot more.
Sure.
Seeing it for what it was and the fact that it was a drama with supernatural elements to it. I find the fact that when you think Dracula, you immediately see Bela Lugosi is a testament to how powerful the film was. But that's all I got with that.
Cool.
Is that my dad didn't want me and my brother to watch it because he thought we would find it boring, and he was correct. If you watched Dracula, let us know what you think. You can find us at WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. Next week, we're covering Eyes Without a Face, which I know absolutely nothing about.
Eyes Without a Face.
I have never even heard of that movie until you mentioned it. Also, we warn you against forgetting to like and subscribe on YouTube.
And protect your necks.
And suck the blood out of the bell.
What? JD, sign us off.
Au revoir. Make no mistake about it, he's hard and he's DTF.